Welcome back to the channel, guys. I hope you're all doing well after yesterday's sell-off in the metals markets. I hope it didn't, disturb you mentally too much. Unfortunately, I have some customers that stuff like that really drive them nuts, and I try to explain to them, if they don't already know, or maybe they do already know it, that it's a long-term game. This is not something that you're going to get rich from overnight. Silver and gold are a storage of wealth. They always have been, and I think they always will be. And to me, it's the only real money. So, wouldn't worry too much about it right now. Use it as a buying opportunity, in my opinion. But I wanted to talk to you about two things today. Number one, I'd like to talk to you about manipulation. And we always talk about, and many channels talk about, how silver and gold are manipulated. They're manipulated by the big boys, and I believe this 100% to be true. But I also believe it's further than that. I believe they're manipulating you and me. And what I mean by that is that they're playing games with your head. They pretty much do this with all markets. The stock market, all sorts of trading, anything like that. They're manipulating you. They're playing games with your emotions. They know how the herd, let's say, the herd will react to certain conditions. And, I'm going to tell you right now, don't be manipulated. I know it's easier said than done because, mentally we're human beings and, we're going to be affected by certain things. But if you're going to be in this for the long run, you really need to put that out of your head, that this is a long-term thing. It's not meant to get rich from overnight. This is supposed to preserve your wealth. And we should actually be thanking the manipulators because we could use that to our advantage. What I mean by that is let them play their games. Let them keep the price down for as long as possible so we can continue to add to our silver and gold stacks. If they can play their game, it doesn't matter to us in the long run. They're gonna play it. It gets up to a certain level, they're gonna drop it back down, and vice versa, and all that stuff. They do that with every market. Every market's the same. They always do that, and we need to use that to our advantage. And just don't let them get into your head too much because that's what they want. So, like I said, you should be thanking them, not cursing them. To be honest with you, let's look at something. A good friend of mine, who's also a silver stacker, sent me an interesting little tidbit. He texted to me. I'll read it to you. He said, back in 1920, it took 1,800 ounces to buy a new car, and back then an ounce was only worth $1. And by today's standards, to buy a car would take 1,800 ounces of silver. And he said, would you rather find a tin box left by your great-grandfather with 1,800 ounces of silver in it or $1,800 in cash? And, that's interesting if you think about it. Obviously we know the obvious choice, but it's interesting that it shows you, people say, oh, it's not some of the naysayers will say, oh, silver is not a good, a fight against, a hedge against inflation. When in reality, all you got to do is look at that. And I know that's a long time. That's over 100 years ago. And, that's not reality. But generationally, it is. And I believe with the amount of money that they're printing right now, and it's only going to go up over time. And if you don't have something like this, silver and gold put away, you're really not protecting yourself. Now, another customer was in here a little while ago, and I told him about this text, and he goes, well, I don't know why he said this, but he's like, well, copper too. Copper would have been worth a lot more. I said, yeah, that's not really the point. But he's right. Pretty much any metal from that time period would have went way up. But silver, and gold, especially gold, would be worth a lot more, and it is a hedge against inflation. So just, keep it in mind. You got to be in this for the long haul. You can't freak out every time the price moves. I know most of you pros don't. To me, I'll be honest with you, if it drops back down to near 20 bucks an ounce or something like that, that's a giant buying opportunity. I was talking to another dealer friend yesterday. He said if it got anywhere near 20, he would just load up on as much as he could possibly buy. And I think a lot of people would think that way. Whether or not we get to that price again, I have no idea. I don't think so, but I don't know the future. I have no idea where it's going for sure. I think it's going up in the long run. But, getting back to 20 bucks an ounce, anything's possible. Who knows? So the other thing I wanted to talk to you about, and it's pretty important in my mind. I'm a dealer, so it's pretty difficult for me to stay anonymous. I can't stay anonymous, and especially I'm on here, I definitely can't stay anonymous. But if I were not in the business directly and I wanted to, stack as much silver and gold as I possibly could, I'd be concerned about some privacy issues. Now, there's ways to keep it private and legal. I'm not telling anybody to break any laws, okay? If you buy a bunch of silver, guys, I'm going to tell you right now, if you buy a bunch of silver, you put it away, and it goes up, and you decide to sell it, it is a taxable event. You need to pay your taxes on it, because if not, you're breaking the law. So don't do that. But we're going to talk about privacy. And what I mean by privacy is, everything you do nowadays is tracked. Everything. Nobody's really anonymous anymore. It would be extremely difficult to be completely off grid. I don't know how anybody could do it. Excuse me. Maybe if you lived in another country or something like that, I'm not sure. But the way things are nowadays, you're pretty much almost everything you do is tracked in some way. And including your stacking of silver and gold, usually, unless you're smart about it. So, like if it were me, I would buy it in cash at local shops. That's it. To me, silver and gold, and that you're buying it that way is pretty anonymous. That is, as long as you can keep your mouth closed and not, tell everybody what you got. Because unfortunately, I have some customers that do like to come in here and brag about how much silver and gold they got. I think that's the worst possible thing you can do. Hate to say it, even if you're married and you got a spouse, you know how it is. Sometimes people like to talk and tell people. I would try not to say anything. I wouldn't let anybody know if you can help it. Of course, you got to leave some kind of instructions around in case something happened to you so that your family knew where it was and things like that. But, when you're buying online, for example, you're ordering it, you're paying with a credit card, that's all can be tracked back to you. Certain thresholds you'll hit and stuff like that will all be tracked. Now, if it were me, like I said, I'd stick to paying cash at local shops, and that's not to prop my shop. So please don't take that the wrong way. I'm just trying to figure out a way, the smartest way to keep this anonymous so it's not being tracked. And, wherever you go in the world, I'm going to tell you right now, wherever you go, wherever you're at, silver and gold has a value. Almost everywhere, unless you're going to some jungle, and you run into a tribe, that doesn't use any kind of, monetary system or something like that. But pretty much anywhere in the world, silver and gold is, the people know what it is, and it's real money. And it's anonymous. So I remember hearing back in the beginning about cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin that it's anonymous, it's this and that. That isn't anonymous. They could trace it back to a wallet, an online wallet, or they can trace it back to the exchanges. It's not anonymous. They can figure out what you have and where you got it and how much you got. Silver and gold, they really don't know. They really don't know. And if you're a legal, law-abiding citizen and you just want to store some of this, put some of your cash into that, that's perfectly legit and legal. And nobody needs to know what you have. So the way things are nowadays, if it were me, I would do it in cash locally, and keep a record. You should keep records of everything you purchase. If a dealer doesn't want to give you a receipt, That's not smart, and I'm going to tell you why. Because let's say you, I'll give you a hypothetical number. Let's say you accumulate, I don't know, $50,000 worth of silver, and then something, God forbid, comes up in your life where you have to sell it all at once. You have to get rid of it. You need the money immediately. Maybe there's some kind of emergency in your life or your family, and you have to come up with the money. Now you take it to a shop and you sell it. You sell it all off. The guy pays you probably in a check, and you deposit in your bank account. Well, two things. First of all, if you made money on that, maybe that invested whatever. You invested $30,000, you cashed out $50,000, you made $20,000 profit. That's taxable. As far as I know, that's taxable. And I'm not an accountant. I'm not a financial consultant, so you should ask your accountant about that. But I'm almost 100% sure that if you made a profit on that, you owe tax on that. So, but this is the problem some guys are coming into. They're going around to these coin shows and different places. Maybe they're buying from the flea market, maybe wherever. And they'll pay cash, and the people will sell them their silver or gold, and they won't give them a receipt. Well, it seems all well and good and great. There's no record of anything. There's no receipt. But that you might have. So let me explain it this way before I really get confused myself. The $50,000 you cashed out, you made $20,000, right? So you owe tax on the $20,000, whatever you owe on it. But if you had the receipts to prove that you invested $30,000, you owe $20,000, right? But if you don't have those receipts and you deposit that, you're going to owe $50,000 because you can't prove what you paid for it. So I tell people this all the time. They come to my shop. They say, I write them a receipt, hand it to them. Oh, I don't need it. I'm like, no, you should take it and, file it because of that exact scenario. So keep good records. But, that's just a little tip I'm giving you about it. But back to the privacy things, guys, in my opinion, stick to cash. And then, yes, keep the receipts for obvious reasons. But if any of you guys have any tips about keeping it private, please leave them in the comments. But it's got to be legal stuff, nothing illegal. I don't break the law, and I don't advise anybody to break the law with this. And I'm sure, most of your watchers are all legal law-abiding citizens, and, you're just spending your hard-earned money to accumulate some silver and gold, and that's the way it should be. So if you have any comments, please leave them below. Also, if you would, please like and subscribe. I appreciate it, and have a great day. Thank you.